Welcome back to now 6:11. A lot going on for Columbia schools with the return to fall classes in just a few months and the continued expansion in the district. Right now we are joined by Superintendent Peter Stiepelman to talk about all of those changes. Good morning, Mr. Stiepelman.
Good morning to you.
And so first, I know you just announced plans about whether kids will go back to school or online, and that's pretty much up to families. What advice would you have for them as they're deciding whether to send their kids back to school?
Right. So I think thank you for the opportunity to be here and to talk a little bit about that. The Board of Education on Monday night received a follow-up update. We've been doing regular updates about COVID. And we are basing our decision in terms of our recommendation to the Board of Education for families to have the opportunity to make a choice. What we heard very clearly from our community, we engaged with them with something called a thought exchange, which is an opportunity. It's almost like a survey, but it really mines them and harvests the wisdom of our community to say, what is it that they really want? And more than anything, we heard that they wanted choices. And so in working with the health department, Stephanie Browning and her team are remarkable. And looking at the guidelines and the steps that are moving forward, that by August, we should be in a position where families really do have a genuine choice. They can be in person, or they can choose an online option. And when you look at elementary school, that online option will be taught by CPS teachers, but using the University of Missouri platform. So we're calling it CPS at Mizzou. University of Missouri has a rich tradition of teaching online courses throughout the world. And so a great opportunity for us locally to be able to use their platform. And then at secondary, middle schools and high schools, it will be an online platform that is taught by CPS teachers also, but there are classes that are taught by our teachers. Or a family can say, I really want 5 days in person, my child at school. And so I would recommend that when families, the week of the 22nd, they'll start to get some informational materials, and they'll be able to really genuinely make a decision that's best for their families.
Awesome. And then I know that teachers will be working with Mizzou in this, but what is the responsibility of teachers in those plans? Will they be teaching both the in-person and online classes as well?
Well, I'm glad that you asked that question. No, so we'll have teachers that are either teaching in person or they're teaching online. So what we first need to do is find out how many students are going to choose the online option. And then at that point, we'll have to choose teachers to actually teach those online courses, supervised, not evaluated, but supervised by our colleagues at Mizzou to help them with their online teaching. We really want to make it clear this is going to look dramatically different than what it looked like in the spring. In the spring, our community was incredibly gracious and accommodating as we were trying to figure out how to teach online. And so what our online learning looked like was more about choice and enrichment, trying to help kids catch up who were behind. But in this case, we're doing school.
All right. And first, yesterday, you guys announced that you'd be reviewing attendance areas. Can you talk a bit about why the district is looking at those changes for elementary schools?
Absolutely. In fact, we started this work in 2018 and 19 when we started working on the middle school and high school attendance areas. And in that work, we also included elementary. And what we quickly learned during that process was it was getting confusing because elementary was for the future and not for that immediate need. And so we paused. And then our goal was to bring it back this December and January. And then as we got closer to making some decisions about starting our work, then COVID-19 hit. And so we know that our families really respect and want to know when we're making changes that they have at least a year's worth of time before those changes take effect. So the timing isn't excellent, but we have to start the work. And so we're forming our focus groups, which will allow us to hear what the community is interested in knowing more about, looking at potential maps, beginning to see some beginning scenarios, so that when the board does begin to hear from our contracted service, it's called Cooperative Strategies. We used them the last time. They're out of Columbus, Ohio. And this is exactly what they do. They are professionals in determining how to create attendance areas that balance numbers and really take into consideration what the community is saying to them. So that will begin very soon this month, and then we'll continue throughout the summer with some initial scenarios provided to the board at their September board meeting.
All right, that sounds great. And then looking at the changes coming just this school year, we talked a little bit last show about how teachers would be doing online classes, and those will be separate from the in-person classes. Will that result in any new hires in the district?
Oh, in fact, our budget was just passed this past Monday by the Board of Education, and so we're going to stay within that budget. What we'll do is parents will let us know whether or not what they choose, and then we will adjust what we'll need in terms of teachers and where they'll teach, whether it's in person or online.
So that will be basically proportioning teachers, is what you're saying there.
Exactly. So we convened a group of teachers and principals to really help us decide on a decision tree, or at least what we should be considering when choosing a teacher to teach online. So for example, if a teacher himself or herself or their self has an underlying health condition, then they may be a good candidate for teaching online. Or they have their own child or a parent who has an underlying health condition for which we should be really concerned in terms of COVID-19. And so what we're trying, or if a teacher has the background in teaching an online course in the past, or is already very gifted in terms of engaging kids through this online platform. So we'll be looking at different ways to choose our teachers. For example, if you've got a school with 17 teachers and 15 of them want to teach online, well, that doesn't leave very many people back at the school. So we have to be thoughtful about the ratios and the size of buildings and figure all that out together.
And so let's go back to that fall return for the school district, which could all change if the virus does too. Now, Dr. Siepelman, families can choose whether kids do go back to school. Do you have any advice for them in making that tough decision?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to thank you. I just heard you say, if the virus changes too. All of our decisions are being made in close connection and close conversation with our local health department. So this decision was made on June 8th. Today is June 11th. It's the information that we have today. So if things do change and the order's extended or revised, it may change the way that we approach things. But right now we think very strongly that things will look good. I mean, hospital beds are not filled, and that the cases, although they're rising in our local community, appear to be fairly mild in terms of how they're playing out. So the advice that I would give families is exactly that. You need to do what is best for you and your family. And then we'll try to accommodate your request. We're going to try to be incredibly flexible in the decision making that families make. So for example, if you choose online and you need equipment, we'll make sure that you have a laptop or an iPad, depending on which grade level you're in. We'll make sure that you have a hotspot if you don't have reliable internet at home. We're still trying to figure out free lunch. So if in fact you are a student who participates in our free lunch program, we're trying to figure out how to make sure that that isn't the reason why you have to choose in person if you're still not sure you want to come back yet. So we'll work through that as well. If you're a child who receives individual education plans, so if you receive special education services and you want to do online or at home learning, you can do that. And if you wanted to come to school just for your time with your specialist to work on your plan, then we'll make that accommodation as well. If you're an online student and you participate on the football team, you can do that as well. And so we want to be incredibly flexible and accommodating, and just recognize that we're in a global pandemic. This has never been seen before, at least not since 1918. And, it was a very different time back then. And so we want to make sure that we are doing exactly what we can do for the public, because it's their public schools.
And I know plans are up in the air right now, but do you anticipate any COVID-19 testing for students and faculty as they head back into the schools if they do choose to do so?
Yeah, that's a good question. Our screening process will likely not include taking one's temperature as they arrive, because so much of what we've learned since March 17th when we went out are things like asymptomatic symptoms, right? Or, a child may not present with a fever but may have COVID. So we're not going to do that, but we are going to look at how we sort of screen in the sense of asking students if they've had a fever, or if they're not feeling well, or whether or not they have a loss of taste or smell, or whether or not they have traveled in the last 14 days out of state or out of the country. So those types of things will help us. But in terms of testing students before they arrive, no, we don't plan on do that. We will plan when you have questions about masks and things like that. It's not our expectation that we're going to insist that students wear masks. We will, obviously, if a student feels most comfortable wearing a mask, that we'll allow that. We are going to strongly encourage our faculty to wear masks. And in fact, we will buy every one of our employees 2 masks so that they can have them. And so these are lots of questions that I'm sure you could do an entire hour on. And if people are interested in my presentation, I presented it and it's recorded. It's on our website. It's about an hour long, so it has a lot of the questions that you're asking and questions that board members were also interested in other areas. So I would encourage people just to kind of learn what we're talking about, and then on the 22nd, they'll get information from us, and then they can start making a genuine decision based on good information.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Siepelman. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.